Hello, everybody. I just realized that my hair is in a complete and utter mess. And I do apologize for that. I should probably sort my hair out. I probably should have done that before I jumped into this stream. I know streaming has become hot, but many of the creators I follow have gone to the format which is far less information rich and wastes time thanking people for giving money. Would prefer news. Hello! Welcome to you as well. Fenneman. Hello. Last week we did a live stream and we talked about some news that was going on in regards to someone who was driving a Tesla and pulling some very irresponsible stunts. And during that video, a lot of you said that you would really like it if we did this again. So I'm giving it a go today. I know we did do some streams on the Sunday channel, and I know a lot of people kind of joined us for the lockdown Sunday streams when that happened. We're still trying to figure out where things fit in when it comes to being able to talk to you guys during a live stream. So I know that not everybody is going to enjoy this. One person even commented before we'd started streaming that they didn't like this format. Don't worry, we're not shifting the entire channel to live streams. There are multiple different types of video that we produce. And if you don't realize that, you haven't followed the channel for a while, we produce TEN, T-E-N, Transport Evolved News, our Saturday news roundup show. If you happen to be really, really, really far east in the world, because it's probably Sunday by the time you watch it, our Saturday news roundup show. Then we have our interviews that we carry out with industry insiders. That is very different to our weekday videos where we talk about videos that have, we talk about topics, single topics. We try and go in depth. That's a very different video to 10 and a very different video to the interviews. Then we have the Sunday musings, which go over on Transport Evolved Take 2, which is maybe where this video will end up in the future. And the Transport Evolved Take 2 is completely unscripted. I normally film it in the garden. It's where I ask you to give me information rather than the other way around. And one of the reasons we put it on Take 2 is people didn't like it because it was unscripted and they thought we were being wasteful of your time. And you'll note that we put unscripted at the top of this video. So if you see a video that says unscripted, you're going to know pretty quickly that it was a video that is not one that we've put a lot of production value into. But a lot of people have also asked how they can talk to us, how they can interact with us. And so I've just literally made a cup of coffee in my Fox mug. It's actually tea. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to chat with you and answer some of your questions, because it is important, I think, to have a way that as a creator, I get to talk to my audience. And as an audience, you get to talk to myself and the rest of the team. We also, of course, have the staff car videos. I could go on. We make lots of different videos. So don't feel for 1 second that we're suddenly changing our content creation. And frankly, if you think about the number of hours that we put into creation, we are constantly making different videos and different types of videos. And it's very disheartening when people say, don't make this type of video, or you haven't done your research on this video, because, and you're copying out by doing a live stream, because frankly, we need a change sometimes too. All right, here we go. I could actually watch streaming from the start. Well, there you go. You got a bit of a rant. I do apologize. How long would you expect charging infrastructure outside of the supercharging network to improve over time? Well, I think it's already improving, Alex. I think it depends where you are in the world. A couple of days ago on one of the shows, I think I uttered the words, as somebody who lives on the West Coast, I can easily go all the way from the Mexican border to the Canadian border or vice versa. And I can do that without needing to really plan my trip all that much, because charging along that corridor is now so ubiquitous, it doesn't really matter. I was able to travel down to the San Francisco Bay Area in a single day in a Chevrolet Bolt. And that was something that a couple of years ago just simply wasn't possible in a single day. So I think we've started to reach that point in some parts of the world. Same in parts of Europe. Certain European countries are now becoming, they've got such a good charging infrastructure that you can drive long distance without really thinking about it. And I think, obviously, Tesla has got its supercharger network pushed out across the US, across Europe, across Asia in some markets. But it's still that, look, charging infrastructure is always, there's always going to be somewhere in a charging network or a charger rollout where someone will find that edge case use where there isn't a charging station near them that is suitably quick. Now, I expect in the United States investment that is promised that may or may not come down the line, depends on whether there is bipartisan agreement or not. I expect that the charging networks in the United States will certainly improve, especially as the US has signed to re-enter into the climate accord and is going to have to do a lot of legwork to make up for 4 years of essentially of neglect of its duties in that regard. So I think it's going to take a while for that to happen. Hello, Chris. Thank you very much. How will the Biden presidency try to reach the Paris Agreement goals? Well, it's already set out some of those goals. Okay, so it wants to increase the limit, the number of cars that will be eligible for the plug-in car rebate program, the federal tax credit program. It's also said it wants to install, I think, 500,000 electric car charging stations across the US. And I'm hoping that it's also ramping up work with small businesses to support small businesses. And I'm hoping that a lot of the startup and boutique electric car companies are going to get some extra investment, not extra investment, but certainly extra financial support. Don't forget, too, that it's possible for governments to help grease the skids when it comes to partnerships and working groups between different organizations. I don't talk about it very much, but in 2014, if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know this. In 2014, I was a guest of the White House, the current White House administration, the EPA and the Department of Transport, and I went to Washington, D.C. Didn't go to the White House. I went to Capitol Hill, and I was part of a workshop there into clean energy, clean transportation. I got to meet some people in the government. I got to meet some really fantastic, engaged people that were really working hard to try and change America's direction when it came to its fossil fuel use, its goals and all of that. And of course, a couple of years later, that was all destroyed. I don't believe any of my contacts work at the EPA anymore. Certainly the emails have been bouncing for about 3 years. So I'm interested to know if they will come back. And I think that the transportation change there is really going to help, make sure that that we'll see a pivot, and I hope we see carrots and sticks. So I hope we see EV incentives increasing, and the sticks would be an increase in pressure on car companies to make more fuel efficient cars, but also to penalize car companies for making too many SUVs. We said in the show yesterday that there were a large number of a large number of SUVs that were coming to market this year. And those those SUVs increased their tailpipe emissions because there were so many, electric vehicles offsetted it, but it didn't move us down. So while overall vehicle emissions dropped, SUV sales exploded to the point that all of those additional emissions from SUVs meant that we didn't really do anything from a net point of view. I didn't explain that very well. I do apologize. Which new for 2021 EV am I most likely to buy? I'm not likely to buy anything. I'm very happy with the car that I have right now. Somebody else asked, I have a Chevrolet Bolt EV. We have two Chevrolet Bolt EVs. I will give you a bit of an update on one of them in a second. We have two Chevrolet Bolt EVs, and we purchased them because at the time in 2017, I got a great deal on my car. I got a significant discount when I bought it. And I then had to, I got a good deal on the lease. I needed a car that could do long distance work. We had a family member who was actually not living at home and was in and out of various medical facilities. And so we were having to do a lot of driving, and the Leaf wasn't good for long distance. We didn't want to hire a gas car every time we went somewhere. So we actually got a Bolt. We needed something that had a hatchback. The Model S was out of our price range. To be fair, the Bolt was out of our price range as well. We were only able to buy the Bolt because that particular car was heavily discounted by the dealership when we purchased it, and therefore it got us on that road. We were so happy with our Bolt in terms of how it behaved, how easy it was to drive, the driving position. I like a fairly high driving position, certainly for a daily driver. And we like the load carrying capability. We like the trunk space. We have two dogs. I carry, my hobbies involve carrying lots of boxes around. And so I needed something with a decent amount of luggage space. Model 3 wasn't going to cut it for us because we wanted a hatchback rather than a sedan. And so we went with a Bolt. And we were so impressed with the Bolt that when we bought the house that we're now currently living in, which is significantly further away from Portland than we were, it meant that my wife was just about getting to work and back every day in the Leaf. And then we had a really cold spell where she was having to choose between having the heating on or having to stop and recharge. And so we did some digging and we found a local, we went back to the same local car specialist in Portland. It's called Platt Auto, and they specialize in electric vehicles, used electric vehicles. We went back to the team at Platt and we said, hey, we'd like to trade in our Leaf. You have a Bolt. They did have a Bolt that was the right kind of price for us. It was a very high mileage Bolt. So again, we got a great deal on that car. We wouldn't have been afforded maybe a more expensive one at the time, but we traded up to the Leaf, from the Leaf to the Bolt. Now my wife has a Bolt and I have a Bolt. A week after she got her car, my wife drove from Portland all the way to the middle of Missouri to go see her family for Christmas, which is what, 2,000 mile there, 2,000 mile back trip. And she had to deal with snow and all of that, and the car behaved impeccably. So that's where we are right now. If I had to buy a new car this year, and I may have to do that, maybe some more details on that in a moment, I think I would probably be tempted to try both the Mustang Mach-E and also the ID.4 if I had to go with that SUV. But really, what we really want as a family is we want a car that we can do long distance in, which is one of the reasons why we have one of these on order. And they support, right to repair, which is very important for me. But I've got to repair something later on. And we'd probably also eventually look for a work truck, a pickup, an electric pickup. We won't be getting a Cybertruck because they are huge and we don't need anything that large. Also, living out here in the country, if anything was to go wrong, we really are out in the boonies. We are 8 or 9 miles from the nearest town. We're about 25, 26 miles out of Portland. And so For us, we need a car that we can get into a dealership and get fixed quickly if it goes wrong. And some of the challenges that I've heard of friends recently, again with Tesla, it's just it puts me off the brand. Also, Tesla's attitude to open source and not open source, right to repair, also puts me off the brand. And so that's my personal reason why I don't own one. That doesn't mean I don't think the cars are any good, because I think they are excellent. I think Model 3 is a phenomenal vehicle. I think Model S is phenomenal. Model X is a car that breaks some laws of physics in terms of how it drives and how it feels. I haven't had a chance to get behind the wheel of a Model Y yet. Some of you guys have offered me a chance to film with your own personal Model Ys. And when COVID is over, I will be taking up some of you on that offer. And kind of to reiterate at this point, a lot of people have reached out and said, hey, I've got an X or a Y. Would you like to drive it? And the answer will be yes, I would love to, as soon as COVID is over. Now, if a car company has a car that they can make available to me, I'm more likely to drive that straight away and film, because I know that they are going to have to go through a series of specialist cleaning before each loan period begins and ends. I can also have the car for a week, and I don't have to worry about cleaning it and sanitizing it to give it back, because they automatically do that. So that is where we are right now. Dabu, thanks for answering. I'm a recent subscriber. Well done. Thank you. So I don't know your backstory. Well, now you do. There is a much bigger backstory. There is actually a video somewhere online. It was the San Diego EVA. I was a guest of theirs, and I actually gave a presentation talking about why I got into the EV world and why I've got here and how I've got here. I do apologize. I was cooking at lunchtime, and I think I may have got some stuff on I was making things at lunchtime, so I do apologize. My shirt's in a bit of a mess. Keep up the good job. Thank you very much. I get a lot of absurd comments, questions about my family's EVs. I'm curious if you have any favorite silly questions you get asked. Well, I think the number one is, why don't you have a Tesla? Which is just really ridiculous. It's like saying to someone, why don't you have Prada glasses, or why don't you have a Samsung oven? I do actually have a Samsung oven, but you know, it's the thing I think we have to remember as consumers is that what works for one of us may not work for all of us, and there's a degree of choice that the end user has, and it's very important that we remember that, because if we don't, then we end up with all kinds of problems. Oddbjorn, thank you. It is lovely to see you too. Oddbjorn, we have snow. I'm very excited. Look, I don't know if I can do this, but we have a decent amount of snow today. It was, no, I live in the foothills of the coastal range, and so we don't normally get a whole lot of snow. So the Cascades get a fair amount. We get some here. Excuse me. We do have winter tires for both our cars, because we like to go up Mount Hood and the other local mountains, or volcanoes as they are, to enjoy some winter. But here we don't normally get a whole lot. And I think actually it sort of stopped snowing. While I've been doing this, it sort of stopped snowing, and I think it may just about be ready to start raining. So we'll have to see. But yeah, we've got very wintry weather. For your Earl Grey or Yorkshire tea or whatever kind you drink, greetings from Scotland. Thank you, Martin. This is an Earl Grey with lavender. It's a loose leaf tea. So it's very nice and it's a bit of a treat, and I do have it. I'm not supposed to have a whole lot of tea or caffeine, but there we go. All right. Where are we? Does the Bolt charge slower in winter at EA, Electrify America charging stations? So the battery pack in any electric car charges more slowly in cold weather unless it's been heated up. And one of the genius things that Tesla has done, and other automakers are now doing as well, is that they can heat the battery pack up prior to arrival at the charging station, which means it's going to charge more quickly. Now, when you're doing a long distance trip in a Chevrolet Bolt or any other EV, that first charging station, unless your car has the ability to heat up the battery pack specifically for rapid charging, is going to be a little slower. In the case of the Bolt, I do notice on the occasions that I do long distance trips, and I should probably note the last long distance trip I did was in August. So we haven't done many this year. But I know last year when we went to CES 2020 and we had the trailer, we had the roof rack, and everything else. It did certainly charge more slowly than it did when we went to fully charged live in Austin, Texas. And as soon as we got obviously into the Southwest and the South, it did start to get a lot faster to charge. Thank you, Jordan. That's very sweet of you. Do you think EV credits will remain slowly, or sorry? Let me rephrase that question, Shadowbug. Do you think EV credits will remain or slowly dwindle under Biden and beyond? I think initially we will see those credits remain, but I would personally like to see the credits slowly dwindle, but only when there is a significant market interest. And as somebody else asked, Sean asked, how do you discourage SUV sales? I think you need to have a bit of both. So you need to increase taxes on SUVs. Something that Norway and other countries do is they have very high taxes on very expensive vehicles. And someone please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the taxation is based on its sticker price and in some ways also on the vehicle's emissions. So the larger the vehicle, the less efficient it is, the more polluting it is, the more it costs you to actually buy and register. When I was living in the UK, we had a similar scheme there. It came with regards to road tax. So when you buy your road tax every year, if you have a big gas-guzzling SUV, you pay a lot more than if you have a little smart car, even if it's not an electric one, because of the emissions differences. However, it is possible to game those systems, just like with compliance cars. You'll see some European countries, someone was beeping as they went up the road. Not entirely sure where they were beeping there. In some countries, as you will note, plug-in hybrids, big gas-guzzling SUVs with a plug-in hybrid drivetrain, because of the way they're tested, because of the way they're rated in the lab, they can actually get around some of those regulations. And I would like to see that stopping. Now, in the US, I think, going back to your question, we need to see more pressure on automakers to not make as many gas-guzzling SUVs by increasing the price of them, by increasing the road tax or equivalent that we have over here, and then encouraging EV ownership through subsidies, through cash for clunkers programs. I really hope that the Biden administration enacts a cash for clunker program, because I think, as I always have, I think EVs really benefit lower income communities more than they benefit those of us who have the money to buy brand new EVs. And I think that's important, because a lot of people say, oh yes, but if you buy, if everybody's buying 40 or 50 of the MG and some of the other brands. We are starting to see it in Europe with MG and some of these other brands. Sorry, we did get disconnected there for a second. But I think that is how we should see that progress. Pity the Bolt never made it to the UK. The Volt Ampera was popular, but I guess we now have the ID3, which is probably a good alternative. Based on everybody that I've talked to who's driven the ID3, it is a very good car. I'd love to get my hands on one. Obviously, they're not going to be coming over to the US because they're too small, according to Volkswagen and essentially other automakers. They've all pretty much agreed that that subcompact size is not so popular over here. And people even look at my car and say it's small, and it's not. So I would love to see it come over. In the UK, obviously, the Volt and the Aptera were both very popular. I count myself among probably however many hundred. I think there was probably about 500 or so Chevrolet Volt owners in the UK. The Aptera was more popular because it was sold on the Vauxhall the Vauxhall badge, or the Opel badge in Europe. But the Chevrolet Volt was sold for a while as a Chevrolet. I purchased one with my partner Kate, and it was her car for a number of years. It was actually cheaper than the Aptera. That's one of the reasons we bought it. It was cheaper than the Aptera. I actually preferred the styling of it to the Aptera, and we owned one. Johnny Smith had one for a while. I don't know if he still has it, but he did have one for a while. All right. Getting my Matchbox Chevy Bolt replica Monday. Ooh, nice. How is Volkswagen on right to repair? It's there's kind of two levels to right to repair. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. There are effectively two. It feels like there are two levels on right to repair. The first one being you can buy parts from the dealership or from the automaker and work on your own car yourself. That's kind of the first part. The second part being, here are the schematics, or here is the diagnostics manual, or we use these tools and you're able to get those tools through some other source. I would say most mainstream automakers are aware that some owners like to work on their own cars. They may not actively support it, but they don't try to create disincentives to stop people from working on their cars. There are some car companies who are certainly going that way. I know BMW is one of them. I don't know if Volkswagen is, but certainly from past experiences owning Volkswagens, it's possible to go in and buy a part for a car as long as you have the vehicle number, the VIN, as long as you know what it is you're actually looking for. You can go in, buy the part, and generally you can get them shipped out to you. You can pick them up at your local dealer. There are some exceptions for battery packs, I understand, for some companies. I think Chevrolet is an example of that. You'd have to actually ship out the old battery before you got the new one. So I don't know. But I would suggest that they are far more amenable to owners working on their own cars than, say, Tesla is. Updates on the Honda Insight. So the Honda Insight, we are waiting. We haven't had any more updates. Oh, it started snowing again. Good. We haven't had any updates. I really like snow. We haven't had any updates since I last gave you all one. The Honda Insight has its seats out. I would love to try and source replacement carpets for that car. Because I'd love to restore the carpets and get them running. I need to get the wheels off and take the wheels to be restored. I also need to obviously replace all of the brakes. There is a controller interface on the way from Damien Maguire in Ireland. And I've been looking online for battery packs. Now, I was going to put the Volt battery pack in, and then a friend of mine says they don't think it's going to fit. So I need to look at that again. But I will be using a Volt inverter, which is what the control board is for. Someone else was asking... video and audio have dropped. They appear to be back now. I think you have got them again. Like I say, milk or no milk in the Earl Grey. There is milk in the Earl Grey. I'm sorry, that is very uncouth. I am aware of how uncouth that is, and it should be with lemon, but I don't have any lemons right now. Do I own any EV stocks? Do I own? No, I don't. We don't have any stocks that we are personally vested in. Nobody in the company has any direct connection to any of the companies that we cover. I could have made a lot of money off Tesla stocks. I've made a lot of money from Tesla stocks to the point that even wouldn't need to actually do this anymore, could pay someone else to do it. But I feel it is a conflict of interest for me to own stocks in companies that I own, to the point that I do not want to financially benefit from any company that I cover. Which brings up, obviously, this, Aptera. I hate referral programs with a passion, because I feel like referral programs can sometimes... Sorry, I should rephrase that. I hate referral programs for YouTube channels and influencers. Because if somebody had a referral program code up on their website and they were like, oh, hey, look, I've got one of these on order. If you go to this link, you get such and such off the car. And then the person whose referral code gets used ends up getting to a point where they might win a car or they might benefit from that. And so from a financial point of view, if you're going to be covering that company, you're naturally going to have a bias towards wanting the viewer to think that that car company is awesome, and therefore you're going to want to push that car company positive stories and maybe bring down some of the negatives. I'm not interested in that. I want to report the facts as I see them, as they are available to me. And it's got me in trouble in the past because EV owners, especially those who like Teslas, have said, oh, but you're very negative on Tesla. And I'm like, no, I cover both positive and negative stories about Tesla. And I think one of the reasons why people don't like that is because a lot of YouTubers don't. They only cover the positive stories. And that creates a very false impression. I have critiqued even Nissan and Chevrolet and Ford and Volkswagen, everybody, literally everybody. In fact, the last couple of tens, I have critiqued Chevrolet for releasing little teasers of snippets of videos about the new Bolt EUV. Oh, look at this. It's got a fancy light. Oh, look at this. This is what the dash looks like. This is what the steering wheel looks like. My reaction to that is, show me the whole car or stop teasing, because that does nobody any good. It doesn't do me good as an industry insider, writing about, oh, they've just released this picture of how the inside of the car is going to look like. The next thing that my readers are going to say, or my audience is going to say, is, well, why haven't you shown us the rest? Makes me look stupid, makes me look like a chump. So I've been very critical about GM about that, to the point that I actually rang up last time I was on a phone to one of the GM team that I work with, the PR team. I said, hey, I have a question about this press release, and they answered the question. And I went, while you're on the phone, can I have a moan at you about these stupid press releases that are being sent out, not by you, but by a third-party company working to try and engage on the social media side? And I told them how I thought. And I don't believe that I was the only person who had said that. So I do critique both. But no, I don't have any shares in any company that I own. Now, back to Aptera for a second, and I want you guys to let me know if you think this is a good idea or not, because I haven't actually worked on this yet. A lot of you, as in, more than a couple of dozen, have reached out to me and gone, I'm buying an Aptera because you covered it and you said you were buying one, so I'm going to buy one. What's your referral code? Because I want to reward you. And my reaction to that was, I guess I have a referral code, but if I knew what it was, I'm not going to give it to you. And the reason is that I do not want to benefit from owning one of these. I don't want to benefit from telling you that I've ordered one. This may be a complete flop. This car may never come to existence. And someone? I think there might be a dog in the road. 1 second. One second. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Sorry? Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Cheers. It was just Amazon. I'm sorry. They were delivering something. Where was I? Right. Okay. So Aptera. A lot of people have asked me about Aptera, have asked me if they can have the referral code. And I've turned around and I've said, no, I'm not going to give this to you. And I've actually reached out to the guys at Aptera and said, okay, is there any way that people who have said, I want to get this car because I've seen Nikki buy one or say she's going to get one, is there any way to use that for good? I've asked them to think about it. I'm going to think about it. And I am more okay saying if you put down a reservation because of this car, go here, if I know that I'm personally not going to benefit from it. And that could be maybe making a donation to a charity. It might be, I don't know, auctioning off another Aptera if there's enough. Whatever happens is the way, that is a good way forwards, I think. So let me know if that's something that you would like to happen. Video and audio have dropped. Has the teenager just got up? No. So we are in the middle of nowhere. I nearly swore there. And so the internet's been really slow today because our internet is covered in snow. Our internet receiver is covered in snow. There is a heater on the dish, but it's working hard to try and clear itself. And there were probably about a half dozen PGE trucks went up the road about 3 hours ago, further up. So I'm at about 850 feet. The snow line today is probably about 700 or maybe 600 feet. So people north of me have, I think, lost power. We still have power, fingers crossed. Although this computer and the server room are on UPSs. And so the internet's been really flaky all day. So I do apologize. I'm just going to read through these now. The reason I pay for the channel is the wide coverage of the industry. I've never detected a leaning or a criticism of a particular brand. Thank you. That is good to know because I'm constantly, people constantly tell me that I am too nice to whatever brand and not nice to Tesla. So thank you for saying that. All right. Looking forward to his Allegro V6 sleeper. I think we're going to be talking about Johnny Smith at this point. Since been a fan since I saw your interview with the Lucid CEO. I don't know if you can say anything, but what do you think of the chances of Lucid Motors and CCIV will merge based on your experience covering EVs? CCIV? Don't know that one. But Lucid feels like it's got what it needs to actually enter the market. Whether it will be able to take on other car companies in the segment, I don't know. I think it will initially have plenty of buyers. The cars that I have sat in have been very well made, and that's always a good start. They're not ostentatious like Faraday Future or Byton were. They seem very solid, very rigid in their engineering principles. I was given a tour of the back room and saw what they were working on. And it feels real. It doesn't feel like it's a lot of faffing. So I believe that they are going to have definitely a chance in the marketplace. How will right to repair work with autonomous capabilities? I don't know. That is a very good question, and I think some of it will need to be worked on by approved engineering teams, I think. But I think some of it, if it's designed right, will be user repairable and replayable. Very bright blue eyes. I don't know who you were talking about, but I don't have bright blue eyes. I have brown eyes. As in Oregon, it's light snow on Sunday. We've had about 2.5 inches, which is what, 10 centimeters or so. It's now chucking it down again. It was funny. I recorded something earlier on. I asked Google, we have a Google thing in our kitchen. I asked Google if it was what the weather forecast for today was, and Google's assistant said, oh, it's going to rain. And I said, is there going to be any snow? Nope, just rain. Looked out the window and there was already 1.5 inches of snow. And it was really funny, and I was going to share it on Twitter, and then I realized doing so would let you know pretty much where I live, and I'm not 100% comfortable with that. You can probably figure it out if you search, but I'd rather have at least some layer of protection there. But suffice to say, the town that we are living in is about 7 or 8 miles down the hill. And so we are 850 feet. The town is about 100, 150. So they don't have snow, but we do. All right. Doesn't help to own Tesla stocks. I just can't sell them and miss out on the next price record. When do you think Biden will bring back the tax credit for Teslas? I hope he doesn't. We should not be... Okay, let me clarify. Any car with a sticker price in excess of $40,000, be it a Chevrolet Bolt, be it a Tesla, be it a Kia e-Niro, should not be subsidized. We should only be subsidizing cars that are in the Toyota Corolla, Nissan Versa category, Ford Focus, Ford Fiesta category. We should be subsidizing the butts off the entry-level electric cars with 200 miles of range minimum. So if I was writing policy, there would be a list of requirements. Under $40,000 list price, capable of 200 miles of range, have at least 50 kilowatts rapid charging capabilities, and seat 5. If those things are true, then I would give subsidies. We don't need more expensive electric cars. We don't need another luxury SUV or another luxury sedan. We already have them. They are already well out of the price range of so many people. And again, one of the reasons, I don't want to harp on it, but one of the reasons, again, why I went back to Aptera and went, look, I'm going to support this company, is that they are focusing on efficiency first. And all of the other benefits come from having an efficient aerodynamic vehicle. That is what I feel is more important. An efficient from an efficiency point of view, and also from a sticker price point of view. These are the only things we really need to be focusing on. Tesla has proven that it's possible to make a very fast, very excellently performing electric car, but it's also very expensive. And so entry-level Tesla Model 3, that should be subsidized. Entry Model Y, that should be subsidized. But S's and X's and dual motor performances, no, they shouldn't be subsidized. And I'm going to stick to my guns on that one. I think a lot of people are going to find that very frustrating. But there's a video coming up from Erin this coming week where she talks about her buying experience of the Chevrolet Volt. And she talks about how a lot of the cars on the market are just well beyond her price point, because they're just, electric cars are considerably more expensive in many respects. Funnily enough, I have a large number of friends who have bought low-end entry-level cars. You know, I've got friends with entry-level Nissan Leafs, friends with Chevrolet Spark EVs, used. A friend of mine recently, his first car, he bought a smart car, a used electric smart car, because that's what he wanted. And until we are really supporting electric vehicles at that level, we don't make any difference. Because of the people I know with electric cars, certainly those with high-end electric cars, they might have a gas or two. They might have a gas car or an SUV that does the long-distance trips, or a pickup. And that really doesn't change things for anybody. Electric cars need to be displacing internal combustion, not being an addition to. All right, let's go to the next one. I'm being a little ranty today. I'm sorry. James, thank you. I think it was James. James, thank you. I like the Johnny Cash episode. I would love to see more conversions, more on British Kate too. Her name is Pure Kate. Well, her actual name is Kate Walton. We call her Pure Kate. I call her Ra, because the first time I met her, I got excited about her Morris Minor. and that's where the name comes from, because I might have sat in the back seat while she drove it around and screamed "rah" out the window a lot, because I had always wanted a Morris Minor ever since I was very little, and we became friends when we were both in our late teens, early 20s, and she had a Morris Minor before me. So, and then I ended up having two. So I've owned one more Morris Minor than she has. There is a Morris Minor that is in the town nearest to me, and it's currently for sale for $8,000, and I would love to own it, but it's beyond my price point. All right. Can you speak about FUV Archimoto? Okay, so the FUV from Archimoto is a great little thing. I've driven one once. I drove one of the early prototypes for the current generation vehicle. Does that make sense? I haven't driven a production version yet. Good friend and supporter of the channel, who is a Patreon supporter, also a friend, is a local to me, has offered me the chance to drive their car, their Archimoto. They have one of the very first ones, and I'm going to take them up on that, but not until the weather has actually improved a bit. And again, until COVID is better. A lot of people have criticized me for being so cautious about COVID. But there are two reasons why I'm very cautious about COVID. Number one is I have a medical condition that affects my heart rate, my heart rhythm, and I want to make sure that I don't give myself anything else to make that worse. The second thing is, in March this year, I think I picked up COVID in March this year, and since then my oxygen levels in my blood have been a bit on the low side, and we're just kind of realizing that that is the case, and I'm going to talk to the doctors next week about that, because my oxygen levels hover about 90, which is a bit low, not great. I would spend what I have to meet you and say thank you. Oh, that's very sweet, Jim. What do I think about GM's EV plans? I'm really excited about Ultium. I think Ultium is very underrated by the EV industry as a whole, and I can't wait to see what it does. I've spent a lot of time talking to GM engineers, and they're excited, and when the engineers are excited, I'm excited. I don't really care what the salespeople say. So I criticized GM for the sales stuff, but the EV engineers are really excited about Ultium, and I hope that it gives them everything they wanted. The stock Explorer I have brought into Archimoto as I feel good about their future. Yeah, that was from Oddbjorn. There are some EV companies that I would love to own shares in, but I don't, for aforementioned reasons. And I would love to have Archimoto. I've mentioned, I think that would be fine. Will said he's totally gone off Musk and Tesla because of his space junk. The last thing we need is RF radiation coming out of the sky. Okay. So I don't have a problem with SpaceX, and I don't have a problem with Starlink. And obviously, as most of you now know, I live in a very rural part of Oregon, and we don't have a very good internet connection. That's why this connection keeps crapping out. And I would love to have Starlink. We're on the list. We're waiting. I would love it to happen very soon, because then I'd be able to have a faster internet connection, and I'd probably bond it with the internet connection we currently have and have an even faster internet connection. But I don't have a problem with it. I think that Starlink is trying to do a very good thing, which is link and provide internet to parts of the world where it's just currently not economically viable to do so. It is a way of raising funds to travel to get ready for his Mars program. And, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. There are other things that I disagree with Elon on far more than that. In fact, I support SpaceX. I think there's some great things being done. I think we need hope that we don't have a huge amount of space junk. But in terms of radio transmissions, look, we are surrounded by radio transmissions all the time, right? There's a phone in my watch. I've got my phone. These are wireless headphones. There's Wi-Fi. everywhere, pretty much. And I that doesn't worry me. It just doesn't. I totally agree, says Otis, the calling Otis. I totally agree with mainstream cars. Yep. Thank you, Gavin. That was very, very awesome. Did I get my answer to the drink question? Do you mean the electrolyte solution? I haven't. I've got some things that I'm following on. Okay, so for those who don't know, one of the side effects to having long QT is that you cannot, it's not safe for you to get dehydrated. If you get dehydrated and you have long QT, you end up in a very dangerous place, because long QT is normally related to potassium and sodium channels in your heart. And if you don't have the right amounts of potassium and sodium, it can really affect your pacing, and then bad things can happen, which can lead to you dying. Basically, that's kind of the long and the short of it. It's not like heart disease where you've made your body this way. Long QT is normally inherited. Sometimes you can acquire it from having the wrong medications, but once you have it, you have it. And I've had it all my life. It's only just been diagnosed with it, and so I've been looking for electrolytes kits that I can keep with me in the car, at home. Plastic Gatorade bottles all the time, because I don't want to have plastic in my life. Now you can buy the Gatorade powder, but that's got a lot of sugar in it, and I don't want to have a lot of sugar in it. So there you go. Odd thank you. I will in fact buy a coffee for you. Andre says you have a lot of RF in the super high frequency coming from the sky. Yeah, but I mean, I don't really worry about that too much. EVM, best looking YouTuber, has arrived. Do you know, Andy, I can't argue there. You're an absolute star. If you do not know who EVM is, Electric Vehicle Man, go subscribe to his channel now. I'll wait. EVM's got my phone number, so he can send me a message and tell me if he's not getting extra subscribers. I will know. My phone's ready. But I'm serious. So go and subscribe to EVM, Electric Vehicle Man. He is a sweetheart. I love him. Hope you and yours are well, Andy, and you're enjoying the snow, because I know you've had some because you're up in the north. I'm most concerned about companies starting to have nearly 1,000 satellites in orbit might affect astronomy. That is a concern of mine. They've been working on reflective coatings, anti-reflective coatings, to try and block out that. And, I'll admit, the other night we were coming back and I saw a string of pearls in the sky that was not from the airport. It was from Starlink satellites. So I think it's a very tough one. Do I have any EV stocks? This one's already been asked today in the channel already. The answer is no. We have no stocks in any company that we own, that we cover. The only relationship I have to any of the car companies that we cover on the channel are vehicles that I personally own. And when I cover Chevrolet Bolts, when I cover, if I do end up with the Aptera, if it arrives, again, I will be very clear. I own one of these, but that does not affect what I'm saying here. We have everything we have in terms of retirement funds and everything else. They are in funds where we do not have any control over what stocks are picked. I've forgotten what they're called, but without discussing a whole lot about what my wife does, she works she works for a company in which she has very strict rules, again, over who she can have financial relationships with. And so everything we have in terms of retirement is in a fund that we have no direct control over where that money goes. I don't like Starlink. At least with ground towers, you can move away from them if you're electrosensitive or just worry about the health implications. I mean, I have not talked to anybody who is electrosensitive. I know that there's a lot we don't know about that, but I'm also willing to trust science on this regard. Gavin, thank you very much for giving EVM a high five there. And Sean as well. Go on, sign up. Numbers haven't gone up, says EVM. Come on, guys, go and subscribe to EVM. I think a lot of the people who already have. EVM and Transport Evolved are great channels. Both have convinced me to go electric for my next car. So that is fantastic. Also, by the way, shout out to E for Electric. They just crossed 100,000 subscribers. So they're catching up on us a little bit. We're at 130 something thousand. And Alex has just crossed over 100,000. So well done, Alex. Great work. Okay, I've just subscribed. Where's my free mug? Well, this one is mine. But no, back to the electrolyte. So I was wanted to have an electrolyte solution that I could take with me places. There will be times where I still have to have a bottle of like pre-mixed stuff. When I am mascot performing, I generally carry one anyway, because you sweat a lot. You are inside a giant costume and it gets up to, 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets very, very hot. You wear a cooling vest, which has phase change inserts. Well, I do. I wear one with phase change inserts in to basically my core cool. And I have someone who's always with me, handlers, and their job is to make sure that A, the costume remains intact, and B, to make sure things like children aren't pulling tails and doing anything crazy, and also to make sure that the performer stays intact. I do a lot of work with a local charity group that I helped co-found in Portland. And it's one of my sad things. We haven't been able to do any this year. We normally go once a month. We normally would go to the local children's hospital and perform there. We go and do charity events throughout the summer. The last charity event I did with that group was February last year because of COVID, and it's been really sad. So there we go. EVM subscribers, do I get a free Earl Grey tea with milk? That's brilliant. I like that. You said that you have issues getting press cars to review. Could your subs help out and at the very least lend a model they have? A lot of people have asked me, and a lot of people have offered. And like I said earlier on, because we're repeating some of the questions, the issue is that while press cars are generally sanitized beforehand and then sanitized immediately afterwards, I don't want to put independent owners through that. Also, we tend to hold on to the car for about a week to make sure that we have time to drive the car and I've got time to collect my thoughts, and then we do a lot of filming with. So there is kind of a process, and yes, for some cars, I will be doing that. And one of the things I want to do is to focus on doing series of videos for older cars that are on the market right now. I really want to work with existing owners and maybe some third-party dealerships to test drive older EVs, cars that were brand new 5 to 10 years ago, and talk about what they are like to drive, and maybe talk about people who are driving them today. But yeah, I do want to make more reviews, and they are coming. Definitely coming is a scooter review. We've got a 40 mile per hour scooter coming at some point. And then we've got Erin is going to be giving us an update on her Volt, which I think is probably going to be tomorrow. And then we are in discussions with Ford about getting a Mark E because of obviously the thing that happened this last couple of weeks with delaying the push out. I don't know when that's going to happen, but when it does, I'll let you know. I'm just looking at the mess that was just made on the driveway. All our snow has been smushed. by the delivery driver who didn't have winter tires. That was interesting. It's closing to 2 a.m. here, says Andre. Yeah, you should go to sleep. But thank you for watching. Gavin Hill, if he's a Yorkshire tea kind of guy, you can add my own bergamot oil. I love bergamot oil. I mean, that's why I like Earl Grey. So there we go. Press cars, do they inspect them for damage when they get them back? Yeah, they do. Yeah. In fact, I once broke a Tesla Model S when it was on press loan to me. Fully charged live in 2019, fully charged live, the last one we did in the UK. I borrowed a Tesla and I cracked the glass roof. They were really nice about it. I don't think anybody told Elon, so shush. All right, serious question. Would you predict the demise of any major legacy automakers in the next 10 years? And if so, which ones? No. The only ones I would be remotely worried about are actually the ones that just all conglomerated who joined together to form a massive conglomeration of like the Stellantis brand. So that's going to be Fiat, Chrysler, Jeep, all of those. I think now they've joined with PSA, they are going to have access to more EV tech. So I don't worry about those. I think that the whole kind of notion of legacy automakers being in trouble is overplayed a lot by a lot of people. And the reality is, I think, that a lot of them are just going to be fine. They're going to lose some market share. They're then going to have to reinvest. They're going to have to par down. And in a lot of cases, the issue isn't that they're legacy automakers. It's that they are still operating like they used to. And when those companies go through their reorganization and they kind of wake up to the new world that they have to exist in, I think a lot of them are going to be just fine. All right. Electrify America gives free charging to the new Volkswagen EV. Could this be a problem if they have to raise prices for other makes? Well, Volkswagen was forced to set up Electrify America, and when it was set up and when Volkswagen was forced to do so, lots of commentators said this is going to place Volkswagen at an unfair advantage in the EV market, and that's exactly what's happened. So there you go. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for all the great independent content around EVs. Our family went EVs with the Model 3 in April. Well done. Choices influenced by learning so much from Transport Evolved's work. Thanks again and be well. I hope the Model 3 is everything you want it to be. A lot of my friends have gone with Model 3s and they love them, and I hope you love yours too. Like I say, if I didn't live in the middle of nowhere, if I didn't have hobbies that required me to carry large boxes, and I didn't have dogs to mess up the interior, and I didn't have chickens and required, I don't know. In my head, Model 3 and Teslas are luxury cars. So in my head, it would be sacrilegious for me to put hay bales in the back of them, for example. I have no problem opening up the hatch on the back of my car and throwing a couple of bales on the back. Because the interior is made of a lot cheaper materials. So just get your head around that, right? The car has a cheaper interior, and therefore I feel less. I don't feel as pressured to keep the interior pristine. How about that? I like a clean car. My car hasn't been cleaned for about probably about 7 weeks, and it is driving me up the wall. I need to vacuum inside it, and I need to clean it off, and I haven't had a chance to. So, Stephen, no wonder they don't lend you Teslas anymore. Tesla hasn't ever lent me a car in the US. It was only in the UK. Apparently, they're running out of COVID vaccinations. Pfizer chiefs predict a riot. The vaccines, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the UK and the US have mismanaged vaccine rollouts terribly. I'm hoping that President Biden pushes forwards with that and we have a better kind of setup with that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people have not been keeping track of it, perhaps as they ought. I maintain the reason why I haven't I don't know if I've had COVID. I may have had COVID in March. I certainly had a very bad cold and I had respiratory problems. And now my oxygen levels in my blood are lower than they should be. That aside, I think the fact that we live out in the middle of nowhere means that we are safer from COVID. And my mum, who lives in the UK, lives on the farm that I grew up on, and she doesn't go out because of, obviously the regulations in the UK about vulnerable people going out. And I think she's remained safe for that same reason. We don't go out. So we've got gardens, we've got a reasonably large amount of space. So there we go. The Model 3 is 53% more expensive than the Skoda Octavia. Does it make it a luxury car? I've always thought, actually, of the Skoda Octavia as a fairly luxury car. I don't know. It's always felt pretty luxury to me. There we go. My friend had a Mercedes-Benz estate and he used it as a farm vehicle. Yeah, I've seen that too. What about a Cybertruck? No, because Cybertruck for me would just not work. It's just so freaking huge. I like vehicles that I can look out of and move without the need for having huge amounts of cameras and things and know where everything is. I would love a car company to make the equivalent of the Ford Ranger EV that was on the market in the late 90s, early noughties. I have thought about buying one a couple of times. A Ford Ranger EV would be perfect for me. It's 2 seats. It's got a truck bed in the back. And if we ever needed to do an event like a parade or something, which we do regularly with a charity, I could put animals in the back, dancing and waving, and know they'd be okay, and know that I wouldn't be driving it down the road. That was a Kaiser Chiefs joke. Maybe it didn't translate. What wasn't? I missed it. Oh, I predict a riot. Oh, God. Oh, my God, Andy, that's terrible. Go to the back of the class, turn your head against the wall and wear the decap. That was terrible. That was definitely distraction in class. I'd have been kicked out of class for that when I was at school. That was brilliant. I love that. Good job, man. I was surprised to see Sandy Munro on E4Electric saying that hydrogen will be the future. Alex appeared to be really shocked when he said that. I didn't see that particular interview. But wouldn't surprise me because, fossil fuel industry have got to get some money from somewhere and they're all putting money towards hydrogen. And I think a lot of these car companies do want to have it. The problem with hydrogen is not using hydrogen to run vehicles. It's the power density of the hydrogen, the cooling requirements for the fuel cell stack. Every hydrogen fuel cell vehicle I've driven has been big and unwieldy and slow. It's not had that instant get up and go. Even I haven't driven the latest Mirai, but the Mirai, the Clarity, the prototype Clarity, and I had a drive in one of Toyota's previous fuel cell vehicles. They all felt heavy and a bit slow and a bit boring. That's just me. But also then obviously generating the stuff in the first place. That's the challenge. I predict a riot. I've got it. You got it in my head now, Andy. Thank you for that. They have electric trucks. They do. No one really knows what the Cybertruck will look like. I can't imagine the current design will get approved in the EU. Me neither. I don't think it will. Affordability, says Nick, of EVs is a big issue in the UK. The average price of the best-selling new car in the UK in 2020 was 15,450 quid. We need EVs that start around this sticker price. Absolutely. And one of the reasons why I'm really excited about the MG brand is it's doing that. It's bringing the price of these EVs down. It's one of the reasons why I don't want to see people subsidizing cars that are more expensive than that, because it's just pointless. All right, somebody said hydrogen is the future and always will be. Duncan, you get a gold star for that. So, and EVM says Mrs. is back from work. It's 10 to 1 in the morning, so sleep time. It definitely is, especially if you've got to get the kids up in the morning for school. Someone was asking about my glasses. These are my glasses. They are my glasses. I don't know what you wanted me to say. What's with your glasses? They've got stripes on the inside, which I thought was kind of fun. I am very short-sighted. I also have a fairly noticeable squint. So these are the most fancy glasses I've ever had. They give me stereoscopic vision, which is phenomenal. So I can do that and see both sides of my hand at the same time. That's crazy. I never used to be able to do that. So it's got a prism that kind of forces one of my eyes to work at the same time. Some of the questions you guys come up with is so fun. All right. I'd love to see an EV with a hydrogen range extender. Me too. I think that's a really good application for hydrogen in parts of the world where the infrastructure just isn't possible for whatever reason. And I think it might have stopped snowing and started raining, which is not so good. Let's see what the weather says. It says it's raining, but I don't believe it. I'm going to check on my weather. I've got to check on my weather station now. All right, here we go. Let's see what my Netatmo says. That's a stupid name for a thing, isn't it? My weather station. Yeah, it's not raining. It says, oh, can't see it, 0.1 degrees C. And Michael Fish says it's 18 degrees in my family room. So yeah, if it's 0.1 degrees C, it's not going to be rain, is it? It's not going to happen. There are snowy sprinkles apparently in South Oregon. There you go. MG is also airing the ad with the old people having intercourse in the, what? I should have read that before. Is MG also airing the ad with old people having intercourse in the UK? Because apparently they have an ad like that in France and it helps sell EVs. I'm a good girl. I would not know anything about that. So if you've already answered it, have you tried anything? Have you heard what they're going to do about the Bolt battery? Yeah, we should talk about the Bolts for a second. So Chevrolet was going to start working on the Bolt battery in January. That's when they said they were going to start working on a solution. Was what, 24th, 25th of January, depending on where you are in the world right now. So they've only been working on it for like 3.5 weeks. I would say hold out. I'm hopeful that there is going to be a solution, because if there isn't, then we're all going to have cars with lower range, and so they're then going to have to offer some compensation. I think, here's what I think. I think LG Chem is going to be in a lot of trouble. This is not GM's problem. This is LG Chem's problem. LG Chem designed the battery pack, the infotainment system, the drivetrain, the motor, the power electronics. That wasn't GM. That was LG Chem. GM worked with LG Chem on this all, but it was mainly LG Chem. And I think LG Chem are going to have to replace those battery packs. That's the only way I can think of it happening. And in terms of my own car, Progressive have still not been able to fix it, and I am considering taking legal action now. A couple of you mentioned that you had talked to various internet people who have YouTube channels, and I would love to do a crossover with one of those. So if you have any suggestions, please reach out to me and tell me. I am dyslexic, and they do a few eyesight tests, and 80% of the time I only see out of my left eye. When I do stuff under a meter away, my right eye starts working. Well, that's kind of where my eyes were, but because I had squints and weird things happening. I had lots of eye surgery when I was a kid because my eyes went in different directions. I had perfect eyesight. My eyes just didn't point in the right direction. Now they do, but my eyes are very weak. I'm very short-sighted. Sump pumps. Not good. All right. I'm a travel nurse and relied that range to get to and from my assignment. Now I have to stop and charge 3 times. What's this? Oh, with the Bolt. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That is not good. Darn Progressive, yes. What about hydrogen for boats? I don't have a problem with that. Hyundai decided not to have a solution on the Kona EV battery other than the software fix, which is why we've got Hyundai to buy back our Kona. Well, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the Bolt. I really don't. Do I have any collaborations planned with other YouTubers? I'd love to do one. I'd love to talk to Johnny about doing one. I haven't spoken with Johnny forever. When was the last time I spoke with Johnny? We chatted, I think, in November time. Something I was working on then, I told Johnny, and he was super excited about it. Do you think the E-Crate will launch in Q3 21? I'm really curious how a complete package might work. It's certainly not like a small block motor. I would love that, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm really hoping that Chevy takes better care of our Bolt. Yeah, you're unlucky because you went from obviously the Kona to the Bolt. That's kind of sucks. Do you have an automatic door for the chicken coop yet? I made an Arduino controlled door with a solar panel to power it. It works great. You don't have to get up to let them in or let them out. So should we see if they've gone to bed yet? I don't have a door opener, but what I do have is a gate. We have an enclosed coop area, which is indoor, which is an indoor and an outdoor area. We leave the door up into the inside, and we have 2 cameras, which is what I'm trying to get now. Chicken pie. So you have a local network. We have a chicken we call Chicken Pie. So the chickens are not in the coop yet. I don't know if you can see that. They're not in the coop yet, but they are in the run. I locked them in the run about an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half ago before I started doing this. And I did that because they were just miserable and they were sitting outside our porch under the porch and looking really miserable and unhappy. And I'd made them scrambled eggs today, and I also made them porridge, and they didn't really want to eat. This is what our yard looks like right there now. You can see all that snow. Look at that. That's snow right there. This is snow. It's very cool. Grace has just entered. Grace has just entered into the coop. She's getting ready to go to bed. She's just wandering around. She's normally the first one up because she's one of the boss hens. I wouldn't say she is the alpha hen, but she's definitely one of the boss hens. Here she goes. You can see her. She's just about to jump up onto the coop. But no, I don't have an automatic door opener. I may do at some point. That's just wrong to feed chickens eggs. No, as long as you give them scrambled eggs, it's actually really good for them. I mean, obviously when they're chicks, they eat eggs, and it's recommended if you've got a chicken who's feeling a bit blah. There you go. Grace has literally just jumped onto the roost for the evening, and once she's up there, other chickens will follow. Yeah, they eat. Chickens eat anything. Isn't it cannibalism to give chickens eggs? So scrambled eggs are just fine because it's just the protein. And it's a treat. Chickens like it as a treat. What you shouldn't obviously be doing is giving them chicken meat. Although some people say it's okay. I wouldn't do that. That would be a bit. I would have problems with that. But yeah, that's what I would say. I also made her porridge. I also made them oatmeal and porridge this morning. She's just wandering around the coop, trying to find where she wants to go. And Ashley has just come in. Ashley followed by, wow, they're all coming in. Ashley and Margaret and Sally have just come in. Sally's just jumped up. This is Sally, our rooster. He is an absolute, he's not a very nice chap. And Margaret's just jumped up as well. So Margaret just jumped up next to Sally. So there you go. They do eat egg whites as chicks. That's true. That's where we go. All right. For those of you who are interested, I know this has gone off. Some people are going to complain about this video and lots of thumbs down, but I don't care. Update on the solar panels. We remortgaged our house officially. As of Tuesday, we have remortgaged our house. And the savings from our mortgage, which is about $500 a month, are going to go into putting solar panels on the roof. And I'm going to be working with a local solar energy provider who I found through a partnership that we are just about to launch with Energy Sage, who we will be doing a partnership with because they are not our primary form of business. We're focusing on cars, not solar panels. So I'm okay with that. So we're going to work with those guys. There will be a kind of little small partnership there. Same as what Matt Farrell over at Undecided, and also who else did it? Ben Sullins did one as well with them. So I'm going to do one of those with them. So you'll be able to support the channel and go that way. And hopefully we'll start the process for applying for those today. And we go from there. Andy, go to bed. If I flip over my new Nissan electric car, am I turning over a new leaf? Oh my goodness, Andy. That's funny. But it's terrible. It is terrible. We actually did a collaboration once, EVM and I, when we were both in LA for the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and I didn't record it properly, so it never actually got published. But next time we're in the same place, we're going to do another collab because I love him. He's sweet. I hope you do some videos on the solar install, even though it's off topic. Yeah, we're going to do that. Andy does need sleep. Go to bed, Andy. So the solar panels are going up, and we're going to look into batteries, but not at the moment. We're going to eventually put batteries on, and we'll go from there. What will be our next EV if I had to buy an EV within the next year? Well, if these guys stick to their promise, it'll be this. My wife really wants a pickup because she makes things out of wood, and it would be really useful to do things in wood. We've looked at a Rivian. It's a bit expensive for us. I'm hoping that Ford comes out with the F-150 electric, and that would be a good one. So that would be a good choice. Failing that, something that can tow. We are also, don't forget, we're hiring at the moment. So we're looking for a social media manager. We get a lot of social media stuff coming through. And frankly, I don't get to do a whole lot of work anymore because I don't work as much as I'd like to because my body is not as happy as it used to be. I'm working out every day. I'm cycling on Peloton. If you want to follow me, I am a minor journey on Peloton. So friend me on Peloton. I'm totally okay with that. And it's not actually a Peloton. It's a cheap bike. It's a cheaper bike that's Peloton that you can get to work with Peloton, if that makes sense. It's whatever. Lordstown, no. I don't think Lordstown's going to happen. There is nothing I've seen from Lordstown that makes me think that thing's going to be ready for market. They don't answer questions. Car companies that don't answer questions about product readiness are... It's the Danger Will Robinson in me that goes, no, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, I'm going to call this lovely, wonderful stream a bit done. I have to finish categorizing all my seeds. I bought some more seeds today. I have to go through and not turn them all over the floor. I've got to make sure and figure out where all these seeds are going. Literally, look at these, all these seeds. I've got to figure out where they're going and what they're doing and when they're to be planted and all that stuff. I also have to... Yeah, New Zealand car prices are terrible for EVs. I'm well aware of that. That's horrible. I work obviously with a New Zealand company, and I talk to them about that regularly. Oh, there was one other good thing that happened with the Honda. Someone else asked me about the Honda, and I don't know if I can tell you. Anyway, this this is the registration document for my Honda. So it's finally come through. It's finally ours, which is good. All those seeds need to keep the chickens busy. They'll dig them all up. They will. They really will. We're going to put some security cameras up, so I might be doing a video about that on my personal channel at some point. But other than that, I'm going to go and fix my heart monitor. Not my heart monitor, because obviously that's inside me. There's a little remote control thing that's about this big. It's not this, but it's about this big, and it fell out of my car a couple of weeks ago and smashed. So I have to resolder it because ordering a new one and waiting for it to arrive would be crazy. And I had some weird stuff happen last night, and I will mimic with this. Obviously, this is my light switch. So obviously that's not how it works, but you're supposed to press the little button and then you hold it on over the thing, and then there's a little light that lights up, and the coil, the transmitter coil, is currently disconnected. So I've got to resolder that back together. So I hope that you have a really good rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the donations, all of you kind, amazing people. If you want me to keep doing this, tell me in the comments below, and we'll try and keep doing it. I can't promise every week, but we'll try and keep doing it. keep evolving.